So previously we had an example of a function here in the row of B11 where we used a sum function to add the values in these parentheses, which are B5 to B8. Now, there are a lot of other functions in Excel, and you may be expected to know any of them at any point, but luckily, Excel does have a built-in function builder to help you get through that. On the web version, it's under the Insert tab in the top left corner here. In the app, it will be under the Formulas tab, but still in the same place. But since I'm on the web version, it's here for me. Once I click that, it will have a handy list of a lot of functions and what they do. They're categorized by what type of field generally uses them. If we click logical, we should find a function named if, which will check whether a condition is met and return either true or false. So basically you ask it a question, and if it's true, it will do one thing. If it's false, it will do another. We'll click OK. In the app, it will give you a nicer looking builder. In the web version, it just will write in the function for you and tell you what you need to fill it in. So to start with, I need what I'm going to test, my logical test. I'm going to test if B11 is greater than 100. Once I'm done my test, I need to put a comma so that it separates the parts. The value of true is what it's going to do if it's true. I'm going to just write big. And since I'm using text, I need to surround it in quotation marks so that it knows that I'm trying to write a word, comma. And if it's not greater than 100, I'll write small, because it's a smaller number. Close the parenthesis, hit enter. And you'll see that here it's writing big because 139 is greater than 100. But if I fill to the right, it will write small because 75 and 79 are both less than 100. So we consider all functions fair game on the test. So just remember, if you ever need a function or to understand what a function does, you can find it in here. You can also put functions within functions, and this is called nesting functions, and it gets very messy very quickly, so it's something you do have to be careful about your formatting when you're doing it. To show you an example of this, I could write tax code here in B18, a price and taxes. I could use a capital P for the provincial tax, a capital G for the GST, and then a capital B for both. I could have a price of 100 for all three since the price doesn't really matter in this example. And then I could use an if function or a series of if functions to determine which tax I'd be paying for each one. So I could start by going equals because all functions start with an equal sign. If you're doing math, the cell must have an equal sign at the front. If, open parenthesis. My first logical test will be to check if it's the provincial tax. So my first check will be to check if A19 equals a capital P. And it has to be a capital P because that's how I wrote it. So to make sure they're matching. If that's true, I want to take B19 and maybe times that by a hypothetical 0.07. I'll just say that's my provincial tax rate. But if that's false, I'll need to check for the next letter, which will mean I need another if statement. So if, you only need the equal sign in front of the first one. You don't need it in subsequent ones. Next, I'm going to check if A19 is a G. And I'll times B19 by a hypothetical 0.05. But if it's neither a P or a G, I'll next need to check if it's the B for both. So if A19 is a B, then I'll take B19 times their combined rate, which is 0.12. 7 plus 5 is 12. If it's neither a P, a G, or a B, it's none of my tax codes and I don't really know what to do. So I could put some sort of panic or error message here. I'll just write unknown. At some point I opened 3 pairs of parentheses, so I need to make sure I close all 3. 1, 2, 3. And my first box will give me 7 because it's a P, so 100 times 0.07 is 7. And if I fill this downwards, my second box will give me 5 because 100 times 0.05 is 5. Third box will give me 12 because 0.12. And then since there's nothing in A22, it can't find any of those 3 codes and is just writing out unknown. So as you may have seen, nesting functions is possible, but it's certainly something you have to be careful with because it will get messy very quickly.